With the release of Castlevania Nocture Season 2 on Netflix, Castlevania is once again back on the agenda and in the front of everyone's mind. However, we've not had a Castlevania game in years. Like, years. The series itself is over 38 years old and has been on a range of consoles. Now, I've played about 10 of them so far, so there's still a lot I've got to go. So I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the top 7 Castlevania games. But I'm going to make this very clear, I have not played them all. There are ones I'm going to be missing. Okay, so if your favourite is not on this list, that does not mean I do not like it. It means I may have not played it. Alright? Make that very clear, because I was getting some heat about Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I ain't played those games, and one day I will, so I will go back to these lists. Okay, I'm not going anywhere, it's a weekly series, so calm your farm, everybody. But if I need to play some of them, let me know which ones I've missed and which ones I need to play. Does that sound fair? Alright. Now, if you do like this channel, please give it a like and please subscribe. It's a little thing from you guys, but it's a big thing for the channel and I really appreciate it. So here are my top 7 Castlevania games. In at number 7, Castlevania on the NES. Yes, the original. This is actually the last game I played and I finished it yesterday playing it on the collection on the Switch. It instantly hits you with that spooky gothic feel as Simon walks up to the castle, and then also hits you with a banger of a tune the moment you actually start going towards Castlevania. It's nothing like the friendly games of Mario. It can be considered one of the first horror games ever made, using monsters from classic Hollywood movies. The graphics look great, although Simon does move really slow. The game is absolutely brutal for its difficulty when the knockback you get from hitting enemies drops you into a pit and you want to swing the controller around when you're actually controlling the vampire killer. If you are good enough, and I say if you are good enough, the game can be finished in less than 30 minutes, but that is a challenge in itself. Castlevania sends a message to all players that Dracula was here and he wasn't messing around. And also that Medusa heads suck. Yeah, they suck a lot. Hate those things. In at number 6. Circle of the Moon for the GBA. This was a launch title for the GBA. A launch title. Seriously, this could be considered in the top 10 for best ever launch games. It's that good. Now, I actually had this as a kid because my dad got it for me along with F-Zero when I got my GBA. You play as Nathan, who isn't a Belmont, but is after Dracula to save his master. Now, Circle of the Moon uses the same level design and layout as Symphony of the Night, where Nathan can explore the castle and gather new abilities and access new areas, so basically a Metroidvania. It also has the RPG element, which means you go stronger as the game goes on. The unique gimmick here is the DSS card system, where a player can obtain drop cards from the enemy. Going into the DSS menu and putting 2 of them together can give Nathan a range of different abilities, which can be a fire sword, which was so cool, summon monsters, or just buffs. This allows every playthrough to be completely different. However, the fight against Dracula sucks. It absolutely sucks unless you've got one particular card system. I freaking hated it. In at number 5. Super Castlevania 4 for the Super Nintendo. Yes, this game is so low. I know some of you are going to be coming at me in your sleep. I just know. Just cry yourself tears. Shut up, I don't care. It was a super version of the NES Castlevania. The game ramped up the gothic feel and really scared me as a kid. No, seriously, it did. I felt I shouldn't even be playing this game as a kid because it was too scary, but my cousin didn't care and let me play it, but I was terrible. The game was beautiful, the music was glorious, and Simon could now whip in all sorts of different directions. The game was reviewed positively and is regularly considered one of the best in the 16-bit era. However, in number 4, Castlevania Bloodlines for the Sega Mega Drive, Sega Genesis. Yeah, I'm going with the Mega Drive version Bloodlines, or New Generations considering if you're in my neck of the pond. You play as both John Morris and Eric Lacard, attempting to stop Elizabeth Bartley, who is actually the bad guy from Nocturne, from reviving Dracula once more. Now, unlike most Castlevanias which focus in and around the castle, the player must travel all around Europe, where you find out Elizabeth Bartley was the real reason for World War I, which is a great idea, and I love the fact you get to see all these different locations. John and Eric play completely different in their own right, and they even have their own sections of the levels where the other one can't go. Additionally, if you collect enough weapon upgrades, your weapon turns to fire, and who can say no to that? In at number 3, Aria Assaro for the GBA. This was the final game for the GBA era and considered one of the best of the system. You play as Soma Cruz living in Japan, and you get embroiled in getting sucked into Dracula's castle. Now, I'm not going to reveal the twist here, but Soma is able to use the soul of his enemies he faces and uses their abilities as his own, which is amazing. I used to do the Valkyrie one all the time. Now, like Circle the Moon, this provided so much replayability. And a lot of people love this game, even though Soma could be considered an anime soy boy, unlike the heroic Belmonts that came before him. Now, there was a sequel on the DS, and you can guess that, I've never played it, so calm down, I will do one day. There's only so many games I can play for the podcast at one time. Come on, people. In at number 2, and our runner-up, Rondo of Blood. I love Rondo of Blood. It was stuck to the Japanese market for years until a port came out, but yeah, Dracula X is not the accurate port. Make that very clear. It's its own game in its own right. We'll just get that out of the way. You focus on playing as a young Richter Belmont who goes on a quest to save his girlfriend, Annette, from Dracula. It had a very different feel from previous Castlevanias, as it was more anime-like, it had anime set pieces, it had voice acting, and one of the best renditions of classic Castlevania music. The game oozed absolute beauty, and it still holds up even today. There was also an additional character in Maria, who is considered easy mode, but should be considered one of the most powerful characters in the whole franchise. God damn right she should. For Western players, as I said, we just had to sit there and look at magazines, and eventually when we got Dracula X, we felt a little bit disappointed. However, finally playing this title in all its glory on its PSP, I fell in love with it and it'll always put a smile on my face. However, at number 1, the winner of the best Castlevania game is Castlevania The Adventure for the Game Boy. Yes, Castlevania was attempting to venture out into the handheld market, and the team produced Castlevania The Adventure. You got to play as Christopher Belmont with 4 tight, challenging levels. Sorry, I can't. This game is utter shit, and it's one of the worst games I've ever played. It is terrible, terrible. The real number 1 is, of course, Symphony of the Night for the PlayStation 1. Yes, call me a cop-out, but this game is incredible. It is one of the best games on the PlayStation and still holds up incredibly well. You, instead of playing as a Belmont, play as the son of Dracula Alucard. Well, you know what? I was actually typing this up, random side bit. I could type Alucard like I can type Dracula, like without a problem. Like, it's the only word I think I can do forwards and backwards without even blinking a nod. It's a weird side bit, shut up, leave me alone. At the time of Symphony of the Night, Konami were trying to reinvent the series in many different ways. You had the 3D era with N64's Castlevania, which seemed to get more hype at the time. And then you had the more 2D based Symphony of the Night on the PlayStation. In time, we came to realise that Alucard's adventure was amazing, providing exploration, RPG, and moonwalking. Additionally, half the game is actually hidden, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to miss it because it doesn't tell you in the guidebook, it doesn't tell you in the instruction manual, it doesn't tell you on the front cover, it doesn't go on the back cover. So if you don't pay attention to the hints, you are not going to see half the game. It itself brought out the term Metroidvania, and has been anonymous with the series ever since. The more I played, the more engrossed I was, and actually this is a bit of a lie, because I was engrossed immediately because at the start of the game you relive the end of Rondo of Blood as Richter goes to fight Dracula, and once again you ask us that important question.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets! But enough talk! How about you?
And that is it, my top 7 Castlevania games. Maybe in 1 or 2 years we'll go through this list again and it'll be updated. But let me know which games I've missed and which games should be making your top 7. Until then, I'll see you all next week for another one, and take care of yourself. My name is Danny, bye bye.